Carvana, chaos, the two words go well together. This tweet, Dad, came from Car Dealership Guy. Great Twitter account, you need to follow it. I can't stress this enough, quote, if Carvana ends up liquidating used car prices, will collapse.
Yes.
All right, Dad, so this has come from CDG. He's an industry insider, and he's essentially saying, if Carvana ends up having to liquidate their inventory, which we have another video talking about their Q3 earnings, used car prices will effing collapse. Do you think this is true? Do you think this could happen? Can we quantify what might even happen here?
Do I think it's true? Well, I mean, he is an industry insider, and he has his fingers on the pulse of the industry much more so than we do. And so, yeah, I believe him when he says that.
Yeah.
And I can't see how that wouldn't be the case if Carvana had to liquidate their inventory. If they went bankrupt and had to liquidate their inventory, you're going to see that have a major impact, because when they liquidate the inventory, it's going to be at a loss. Okay. It's going to be at even if it's at 60 or 70 cents on the dollar, that's a considerable savings from what everybody else has been paying. And so whoever buys that inventory and would want to turn it quickly, I think they would want to turn it quickly.
Yeah.
That's the whole key in this industry, is to turn things quickly. So if they buy it at 60 to 70 cents on the dollar, they would want to turn it quickly. And the way they would do that is they would advertise it at cheaper prices than what everybody else is advertising comparable cars for. That's going to force the other dealers that have the more expensive cars to have to lower their prices in order to compete. So guess what? Consumers win, some dealers lose, and Carvana perhaps just goes away.
Okay, and let's quantify really quickly
Yes.
here, Dad. Carvana in the most recent quarter sold 100,000 vehicles. It's
Yes.
a pretty safe assumption. They don't publicly announce how many cars they have sitting on waiting to sell, but it's over 100,000 vehicles that they're sitting on. I have a source on the inside who told me that they've got over 100,000 vehicles just waiting for reconditioning. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have 150 or 200,000.
That's pretty funny, because from what I understand, they don't really recondition them. So I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe the car wash is busy.
Anyway,
Backed up.
they have 100,000 plus vehicles.
Yes.
The Carvana business model for the longest time until, unfortunately, right now, was buy as many vehicles at as high a price as possible
Yes.
and then just show growth. They were
Yes.
they are a publicly traded company. I was about to say were, because maybe they'll get delisted
Yeah.
from the NASDAQ or whatever they're trading on. Their stock's down 96% in the past year. But Dad, their whole business model was buy as many cars at as high a price as they needed to so that they could then sell a bunch of cars. They wouldn't necessarily make money on a per unit basis because they had all these other costs associated with building their vending machines. All that to say, Dad, they got caught at the wrong time in this situation. Used car prices, wholesale used car prices last year went up 50%, 50. So far
Yes.
this year, they're down about 15 to 20%.
Yes.
That means Carvana is sitting on inventory that was 50% inflated in value. And everyone's been asking,
let's assume that they've sold some of those cars.
so maybe it's like a blended
Yes.
30% inflated in value. Everyone's been saying, when do car prices come all the way back to pre-pandemic, from pre-pandemic highs? If Carvana has to liquidate all of their inventory at 60 to 70 cents on the dollar, are we not back to where we were before the pandemic?
Well, we're getting close.
We're starting to get close.
Yes.
You layer into that, and this is why I think CDG is right. You layer into that all the repossessions that we're starting to see come to market. The rental car companies are not buying used cars anymore because we've seen fleet sales come back up. Carvana's collapse could be the first domino on this path towards car prices going back to pre-pandemic levels.
I doubt that and I could be wrong.
Select car prices.
Yes.
So for example, like cars that Carvana had in inventory that are on a fire sale.
So you're thinking about selling your car. Go to joinyaa.com/sell and just enter the information once and get all the offers in one place. It's just that simple. I just, everybody wants it to go back to pre-pandemic levels. And I don't see used car prices or new car prices getting back to pre-pandemic levels, because new car inventories aren't anywhere near what they had been prior to the pandemic. And if we realize that typical on-hand inventory, on-hand, in transit, in pipeline inventory for dealerships on any given month prior to the pandemic was about 3.4 to 3.5 million vehicles.
Nationwide.
New vehicles nationwide. And that number had dropped down to about 900,000 and then had been running at about 1 million a month. And it's up to about 1.3 million.
Yep.
I don't see with the supply chain issues that there are, that we're ever going to get back to
but that's
3
new
million.
Car side, Dad.
Yeah, but new cars help drive used cars.
That's true.
Okay.
But consumer demand is nowhere. And if you had 100,000 or 150,000 vehicle influx on the used car side, when demand's not there, like that would, car dealership guy says effing collapse. Like I think collapse.
No, I think that it would have a major impact. I just don't think that as long as they're not manufacturing new cars to the same degree that they did pre-pandemic, that we're ever going to see used car prices or new car prices back to pre-pandemic levels.
That's fair.
But that's not, I'm not saying that I don't think we could see a significant decline in used car values. I think we will.
We already have. And this Carvana, the developments at Carvana would make it even bigger.
It would bring us closer to those pre-pandemic levels, even though we may never get back to those levels.
Let's talk one other piece to this puzzle,
Yes.
Dad, timing. Okay,
Yes.
so Carvana's third quarter earnings were really bad, like significantly bad. They lost over $500 million in the one quarter. And
508 million.
And their growth slowed down significantly.
Yes.
That's the even bigger story with them. Their CEO said likely the fourth quarter will be even worse. And you know, Dad, as well as I do, that January and February are the slowest months in the car industry for dealers.
Yes.
What's the timing on this? Is Carvana's collapse, if it's going to happen, does it happen in the fourth quarter now? Does it happen beginning of next year, later next year? Use your crystal ball, your magic wand. What do you think?
Well, once again, just so everybody understands, I purchased my crystal ball at the dollar store. That's not to say that it's not a good crystal ball. I'm just saying it didn't cost me but $1. I think they make it through the fourth quarter. I think they survive through the fourth quarter. I think they survive long enough to post their fourth quarter results. And then, as I like to say, the poop hits the fan. Okay? At that point, when they've lost $700 million in the fourth quarter or more, I think at that point, the investors become really, really concerned as opposed to just moderately concerned at the moment, and realize that they bet on the wrong horse. And so I think sometime in the first quarter of next year, I wouldn't be surprised to see the poop hit the fan and Carvana bite the dust. And yeah, it should be interesting. It should be an interesting first quarter, ladies and gentlemen.